understand that that type of work impacts members of this community, and we have to have an ongoing dialogue so that we can meet your needs, you can understand what our needs are, and if there's issues, we can try to resolve them. And that's just the nature of this undertaking. There's one other thing before we move on here. When we talk about nuclear, it's very important to talk about fact. And as much as possible, try to leave the emotion out of it, because it can be an emotional issue. But the facts are what are important. We're committed to facts, and we hope you are, and we want to engage in a fact-based dialogue so that you can have a debate about should we allocate our water to this plant as opposed to some other asset. That's a debate that this community ought to have. And the types of questions we're seeing in some of the ads that come out in the paper, those are questions that should be asked. We have answers, and we should have answers. So we need to have that dialogue. A fact-based dialogue is an educational dialogue. It's one that gets us to common ground and helps us move forward. So with that, I want to give you some information about nuclear energy, the project, and some other things to help the education process. So I have a chart up here, and you may know, but if you don't, you should, that nuclear energy provides about 20% of the world's electricity. Some countries like France get 80% of their electricity from nuclear power. Other countries like Japan are building many power plants, and China and India is trying, but China's got plans to build literally dozens of nuclear power plants. And there's a reason why nuclear power is accepted worldwide and is becoming increasingly accepted, and it comes down to energy security, safety, and independence. The whole world has iPod. The whole world has a cell phone. The whole world is plugged into the internet, and virtually everything we do, from keeping this room cool to just living our daily lives, requires electricity. We can get it in any number of ways. We can burn coal, which it's cheap and it's plentiful, but we have an air issue. We can turn windmills. They're very clean. They don't produce on an individual basis a lot of electricity, and the wind has to be blowing. Or nuclear is an option, and we have a lot of fuel abundantly worldwide. We have to deal with the waste issue, which I'll talk about, but it's clean. And so the world is recognizing that we can deal with waste in a technically safe way. We can run these plants in a technically safe way, and we can produce the gobs and gobs of energy that we have such a voracious appetite for. And that's really why the world is now saying, hey, from an environmental standpoint, from an energy needs standpoint, this is something that ought to be part of the mix. So in the U.S., there are 105 operating nuclear plants nationwide, mostly concentrated in the east and the southeast and the Midwest. And if you look at the picture, you'll see that Exelon's plants, or where the yellow dots are, concentrated in Illinois, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey. We have an ownership interest in 19 units, and we own and operate 17 units in those states. And that makes us, by far, the largest nuclear operator. And if I do say so myself, and the numbers back it up, we are the best nuclear operator in the country, if not the world. Our plants run in excess of 90% capacity, which means that they're on 90% of the time when they should be, and when they're not, we're usually maintaining them or refueling them. We produced, I'm going to give you some numbers here, but we produced, in 2007, 132 million megawatts of electricity. 1 megawatt is enough to power 1,000 average homes. We produce, I could use a profane word, but we produce a lot of electricity just with our fleet. In 2007, that fleet avoided the production of 121 million metric tons of carbon for the equivalent amount of coal generation, and 63 metric tons of carbon for the equivalent amount of gas generation. Excuse me. And we did so, as I mentioned, through each of our plants, where approximately 600 people go to work every day. Some of their sons and daughters go to work with them in our plants, which are in the community for a long time. And they go to high-paying jobs, some of which are degreed engineers. Others have high school educations and have technical skills. And these are high-paying, stable, long-lasting jobs in the community. Their kids go to school in the community. Their families go to church in the community. They participate in their chambers of commerce. They breathe the air, they drink the water, as I said, and they want a good life. And they go to work every day knowing that their community, their livelihood, depends on their safe operation of that plant. The economic benefits of having a nuclear power plant in your community are significant. And there's all kinds of numbers out there. I'm going to put some numbers just to give you an idea of what 5 plants in Pennsylvania in our nuclear fleet. Those 5 plants, what they did in a recent year, they increased the output of the Pennsylvania economy as a whole by $230 million. And I can break that down by county. They employ more than 2,000 people. The additional jobs, secondary output, the secondary jobs from those plants, more than 4,000 jobs. And each plant paid an average of $27 million in compensation to the employees living in their counties, or $214 million in compensation to people living in Pennsylvania. So these are tremendous economic generators. They pay property taxes. They contribute to the community through United Way and through other civic-minded organizations like yours. And there is an economic input to the small businesses, to the contractors during construction and during operation that really cannot be overstated. And the licenses